On this episode, we jump into the great gaming difficulty debate and ask what's so hard about taking things easy. And on the Pixel Picks Showdown, we seek thrills and glory as we decide the best adventure game. All this and more on the Pixel Parent Podcast. Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Pixel Parents Podcast, the show that discusses all things gaming from the perspective of parents. I am your host, Liam Kirk-Kelvin, and today I'm joined by Scott, the Tastemaker Curry. How are we, Scott?
I'm very well. Melting. Welting away here, man. Just this heat is just getting to me, but we made it and we're here on time, and I'm just going to hydrate this whole episode.
That's it. I feel like a 99 in the sun. It's so bad. The air is so thick.
It's so thick.
So thick.
How are you?
Not bad. Same. I'm very uncomfortable all day. It feels like I can hardly breathe in this weather, to be honest with you. Like, gas shouldn't feel like a solid, and it does. Like, it's just no way to describe it. But I suppose that's being Scottish, isn't it? Like,
it's weather that brings out my least favourite weather term.
What's that?
It's clammy.
Clammy. Aye, it's clammy though.
It is clammy, but it's the best way to describe it. But I just hate that word.
Oh man, bar that. How's everything else though?
Aye, fine. I don't know. It's we've just been pretty excited for the big one dropping. So we're finally here, and yeah, I'm excited to talk about our adventures.
I was going to take the low hanging fruit and make a toilet joke there, but I'm going to avoid it. But before we get into it, let's just get the normalities out the road, shall we? So if you want to be a part of the podcast, come say hello and share your thoughts with us at pixel_parents on Twitter, or write to us at pixelparentspodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Of course, we appreciate all your support, and if you'd love it, if you left us a 5-star review in your podcast platform of choice, it really helps us out. And of course, thanks to everybody that has done that and joins us each and every week. It really means the world. So now all that's out the way, Scott,
Get it out.
what are you playing this week?
Okay, before I touch on the big man, I'm just going to obviously gloss over my Persona 3
Please do.
antics. Still playing it.
Mm-hmm.
It was literally playing it up till 11:59 on Friday.
Right.
It's just like,
I see.
I'll play Persona till that point and then I'll stop. And it's got no signs of stopping. So I've kind of been blindsided by Elden Ring, but I want to go back and finish it off. So that'll be in the cards, I think.
So has Persona 3 got his hooks in you then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time. It's a game that it does. I mean, obviously, I said this last week that Persona 5 is my first ever Persona game.
Uh-huh.
My first Persona. But yeah, it's the exact same thing. But the characters and stuff in it, you always kind of feel a bit weird when like you're playing a game about school children and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like teenagers and like, but you do start to absolutely love the characters that are in it and stuff as well. So it's good fun.
Awesome. I should also add that, we're not recording live from Battersea Dog Home. We've just got lots of asshole neighbours. So those dogs are just out having a free-for-all. But yeah, it's background noise. That's podcasting for you, isn't it? But as a newbie in fact, as a complete non-entity with Persona, can you tell me and our lovely listeners if there's any quality of life improvements, if they've played Persona 5 and they're going to Persona 3, or does it feel old? Or?
It feels the exact same.
Right, okay.
I mean, having never played Persona 3 before, I don't know if there's quality of life improvements from the original.
Uh-huh.
But obviously from this one, it does everything that Persona 5 done. Like, stylistically, it's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And that was always the thing with Persona that I was never really expecting when I first played it, was how it looked.
Mm-hmm.
There's loads of charm, and like it's got like attitude. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's like it's just weird term for a 32-year-old man to be saying, but it's like
Get some.
It's really cool. Like, I really enjoy it, and there's something quite nice about you take this character on and they become better in your care. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like when you play Starfield, your character gets a wee bit better every single time.
I see what you did there.
So it's like when you play that, but with Persona is that your wee guy just improves over the course of the school year. So
Right.
it's cool, man. It is. It's good. I'm really enjoying it.
But we'll get to the big one, right? So let's just kind of talk about everything we might have been playing in the lead up to that, I suppose. So have you been playing anything else, or just been all Persona 3?
Persona 3 has been the main one. Obviously, we had a wee dive into Gears of War for like 45 minutes when we finally managed to get it to work.
That was interesting.
Yeah, that was a complete nightmare. I had to like delete all my Xbox 360 history and all that to actually get it to work online. But no, I've bought more games for some reason.
Right.
I bought Unicorn Overlord, which has been something that's been on my shopping list for a while. I saw a good deal for that, so I bought that. And there was something else I bought as well. I can't remember what it is. It'll come to me soon. But I bought something else, and you know, I have no intention of playing them anytime soon. But I'm kind of viewing other games as like a palate cleanser for when things get tough. You know, like when they do get hard, I'm like, yeah, I need to take a step away and play something that caresses me softly. So that's kind of what I've been up to.
I definitely agree. Definitely agree. But yeah, I've kind of taken the same approach. We've been waiting for Shadow of the Erdtree, which we'll get to. But I've been diving in and out of Starfield first and foremost. So I finished that game last year, and I got to New Game Plus on it, and it was okay. Like, I enjoyed it for what it was, but as with any other Bethesda game, the real meat is in the side content, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I have been thoroughly enjoying that. Like, it just, in the lead up to Starfield, it was almost sold to you as like, whatever your kind of space adventure like dreams were, you can live it out here. So if you wanted to build ships, if you wanted to be a space pirate, God knows what else, if you want to be a space cop, they've got content there for you. And they've got a fair few amount of factions in there. And the good thing is, doing one of them doesn't lock you out from the other. So you can do them all in one.
Well, was that not a big issue with Fallout? Was that you were kind of blocked out from other?
I think so, yeah. I think so.
I don't know. I'm agreeing and talking to you about this, but Bethesda aren't my jam. But
well,
I'm interested to hear what.
I always do this process with Bethesda games. I'll always golden path it, then I'll go and do the side content. That might be sacrilege to some, but for me, it's a good way of getting to grips with the mechanics of the games.
Yeah.
And also, it's a time thing at the end of the day. But did the same with Skyrim, did the same with Fallout 3 and 4 and stuff. But with this one, I have to admit, like, doing that New Game Plus run, at the end of the game, won't tell you what happens, but when you start the New Game Plus, you're given like a better ship and stuff like that. So it makes the traversal much easier. And yeah, it's just been a breath of fresh air, because I think I've did the 3-star collective, which is basically your space sheriffs.
Right.
I did the corpo one. I'm forgetting the name of it. Ryumi, I think it is, or Ryumi. It's basically the big corpo espionage line. That was not great, if I'm honest. But I've started, and I think they've just added this in, where it's basically bounty hunting, the trackers. So I've just started that, and I'm just going to just keep going back and playing it. Like you said, it's something that I will go back to caress you softly, as you put it. But it's just comfort food. I can sit on that, and with the update that they've added to it, I should add, it's not the most smooth yet. So you can play it at uncapped frame rate. I'll still pick performance just to keep it locked at 60.
Right.
But if you go into something like Aquila City, which is not a big city within it, it's a pretty big settlement in the game, it chugs along. It really does. And it does take you out of it. So you kind of have to, you've got options in there now to take off, like motion blur and all the rest of it. It's got VRR support to kind of stop the screen tearing, but you'll still see it. That's the only thing. It's dead smooth outside of that, but the problem is, the way the game is structured, you get given a mission. Let's go to this planet, get that person, and I've picked the 2 quest lines which are in Aquila City, so I have to keep going back to it and experiencing this. But thoroughly enjoying it, and it's actually after the game showcase that we talked about last week, when we're excited about Xbox, and I'm looking forward to just kind of diving into the Shattered Space expansion, which I learned that I have.
Aye,
Just,
you were saying that last week as well. Just
yeah.
has shown up.
God, these people love to hype up a mug punter such as myself. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But outside of that, continuing on from last week, I did go back to Spider-Man 2. I think it was just at the weekend. You know, the football's been on and stuff, and just pulling out the portal. I thought I'll just go in and see what these new suits are like. So I've just been continuing the New Game Plus on that as well. Make my way through the story. It's always the same when I go back to Spider-Man games. Is that there's the walking narrative parts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just want to put on my new swag.
Aye, and just fly a bit.
That's all I want to do. Like, you've got ultimate levels to get the new symbiote suits, so I'm working towards that. But again, new suits, garbage.
Aye. Yeah.
Just utter garbage.
Everything I've seen about them hasn't been great.
Even the animated suits, like, in principle, it's like, that's a cool novelty, but when you play it, it just jars. It's like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Yeah. You know, just this animated person just cutting about with this photorealistic vibe going on.
That's what I'd want, Bob Hoskins and Spider-Man.
Well, there you go. Somebody mod that, please. Send us clips. But it kind of gives me that vibe when I'm playing it. But outside of that, I've not went back to Octopath since, just because I'm almost afraid of the time that it's going to require.
Yeah.
And really, outside of all that, I've been forecasting my purchases. I think we talked about this last week. But I've just been kind of looking at what's next, what's coming up. So I've been sad enough to kind of got a little note on my phone to be like, right, here's where they're coming, just so that I know kind of if I'm wanting to pick that up, I need to kind of free myself up for it a little bit. So there's things, I think the next big game I'm looking forward to is like Star Wars Outlaws, to be honest. Just really curious about how that kind of is executed. I think the one thing that got me most excited about that was just seeing the ship, dogfighting and actually going straight down, flying at yourself to the planet.
Yeah, that's cool.
Something that Starfield lacks, to be honest. And yeah, I've just been kind of plodding along on that front. But of course, we're only a few days removed from the big one. What is the big one, Scott?
It is, I don't know, what is the big one? Elden Ring, of course. Shadows of the Erdtree. Lack of sleep because playing Elden Ring. It's just
it's something else.
It is. Just the minute you drop in and just look around, it's like, yeah, man, this is everything that we wanted from this. I'm loving it. I mean, I've not had as much time as I'd really want to have with it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I maybe played it for like an hour on the Friday when it came out. Didn't play it at all on Saturday. And then played it with you on Sunday night.
Sunday, yeah.
I played it with you last night.
Yeah.
Because you were stuck and I had to run to the boss room and help you.
I'm going to get to that, right? But before, what's your initial thoughts then? Because this is something I think that you definitely must savour, which is good.
Yeah, I think... I feel like it's been hard to get into it because, obviously we've been so far removed from when Elden Ring first came out.
Yep.
That, it's been difficult to kind of drop in and just be like, accept the fact that I'm going to have to find everything in this world again. Like, when we've been playing it recently, obviously getting to the point where we can play the DLC, we know where we're going. We remember pretty much every single point on the map. We can look at that. Whereas this is a place where I'm not wanting to look at a guide or anything. I don't want to watch anything on YouTube, going into this completely blind and being like, it's like daunting, like looking at certain parts of it and stuff. And obviously the damage that you take and stuff as well, like it's frightening. Like,
that's insane.
It's disgusting. The minute you first get hit, you're like, holy sweet Jesus. But I am not ready for this at all. And I wasn't ready, and I'll get to that in a bit. But I've been loving it. I really have. I think it's given me all the same feelings that Elden Ring did when we first played it. And from being a wee bit skeptical about how I felt about it in the first place, kind of coming into it, I feel a lot more comfortable with it now that I've had some time with it, and it's something that I'm absolutely choking to get back and play.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think having that sense of the unknown back
Yeah.
is great. It almost kind of feels like a little mini sequel in a sense.
Yeah.
And not knowing what's around every corner. So it's like probably too comfortable with the base game at this point. Like you said, like I know that like the back of my hand, I could golden path that, no bother. But it's what I did with the Dolly Parton character. But I think it's been a humbling experience.
Yeah.
You know, and we all knew it. If anybody familiar with From Software's expansions, it's always harder. That's kind of the selling point because you want more, here's more challenge. The way they've done this one, it really has just kind of been very humbling because it's like, nope, we are going to kick your ass repeatedly. And yeah, that boss, the first one that you've seen in all the trailers, like, is it the Dancing Lion?
Yeah.
My God, I must have attempted that thing probably about 50 times until we had to summon yourself into it. And yeah, finally managed to beat it. But it was, even that in itself, it's such a joy.
Yeah.
I'm always a firm believer in find your fun in games. So there may be purists out there that don't want to do it with summons. It's like, cool, knock yourself out. I don't really care because it's not making it easier for me. It's still a engaging, sweaty, stressful experience trying to beat them. But the sense of achievement is still there. But if that's the first kind of real main one,
I know.
Jesus, I don't know what's in front of us.
It's just everything that's thrown at you. Like it feels like it's too much. You know what I mean? Like it's the way that he was moving about and like some of the hits and stuff you were taking. It's just like bloody hell. Like he's a minute to like give me a minute to actually heal. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
I kind of feel like all the so I've obviously beaten him, and a couple of sort of optional bosses on the way too, or kind of around him, and they're all the same. Is that you never get a moment to be like, I need to just drink one of my things. You know what I mean? Like you're always trying to rush it through. I'm with you though on the summons part of it. There's been a lot of vitriol online every single time you refresh Twitter or something like that. It's people moaning about people who are summoning people in or using different tactics to get through bosses and stuff, and it's like that's why they're in the game. Like
and I think
part of the like the gameplay loop for this DLC is about spirit ashes. Do you know what I mean? So it's like
very true.
Like why are you like neglecting to use them then? It makes no sense.
I've never understood it, the toxicity that persists around the whole difficulty thing when it comes to FromSoft games. And yes, I get it. If you're someone that has got the skill, has got good, you know, and you can absolutely spank these bosses yourself, more power to you. But someone else taking summons or any other way, spirit ashes, you name it, or some cheesy weapon to beat the boss, doesn't take anything away from your achievement as well. It's something that's never going to go away, sadly.
I think you're right though. It's the get good part of it. I think that's the worst thing about, you know, the From Software series or even just gaming in general, like the whole get good thing. But it's your game. Like do what the fuck you want with it. Do you know what I mean? Like to do whatever you want. It's you know, you could be stuck on that. Like I always think it makes me think of Bloodborne when I was stuck on Ludwig for 2 years. Like genuinely, like not. Like the whole time I wasn't playing Bloodborne every single night and being like, please God, just let me win. It was like I just turned the game off and just like I can't do this. Like I just don't have it in me. And eventually, you know, you do it and that's fine. But it's the way that this DLC has been kind of put on is that the character that you have, regardless of the level that he is, they are, it doesn't matter. Like you're handicapped by that point because you have to go and get the fragments, you have to go and get all these ashes and stuff as well, and I like that.
Definitely.
I think it makes it more, you know, you're not coming into this as like too OP. You know what I mean? Like it's
you would kind of feel. I mean, say that didn't exist, right? You jump in with your character, right? So you've got all your gear. What the glutton, hench, right? And you would rinse that in less than 10 hours, and you would probably feel a little bit let down. So like, you want the challenge. So it's that push pull. I think they've made the right call to make it harder. It's made it that like something to overcome. The way that they've gone about it with the leveling system, within it. Like he says, you're nerfed from the get-go, and it's very humbling. Very, very humbling. Like the squib enemies will take you out in like 1 or 2 hits easily.
That's the part of it. It's just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like when I first started it, I've obviously spoken to you about this, but for the listeners, my character, I was level 160 or something like that. All of my stats were poured into like strength, faith, and my vigor was at level 35. So like I jumped into one of the boss rooms and I think it's like a mini boss or something like that, and he hit me once and I swear to God it took like 3/4 of my health off, and I was like, what am I doing wrong here? Like what is going on? And then I looked at my stats and I was like, oh, I'll die. That's it. You know what I mean? So I had to go and then respec the character and do a wee bit of farming and stuff like that
absolutely
on the road to it. But that's the kind of thing with it. It's like, play the game your way. Like, I'm not going to judge you for doing it. Do you know what I mean? Like any other game, if you were playing, pick a game.
I don't know. Let's see. Persona 3, since you're playing that.
It's like telling yourself, like, don't use enemy weaknesses. Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, that's it.
If you've got a character who's weak to fires, like, don't use fire. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, why? Like that's the whole nature of the game.
It's so bizarre, like these arbitrary rules that, and you're almost kind of shamed into it a little bit. One thing I will say is, we always talk about that value perspective, right?
Yeah.
I love this because I know I'm going to be playing this. I think reviewers were on average about 35 hours. No chance. Like, it'll probably take me about 60 to get through this. And that's not even counting all the side stuff.
Yeah.
And the way that this system works, I think it's something that developers should take note of when it comes to DLC structures, so that you're not just plopped in. Granted, it's not going to work for everything. And it'd be good to have like the option, if that's something that you're looking for, then add it on, like almost like a form of level scaling. But what they've managed to achieve here with From Software, as opposed to me getting in day dot and you see the big fire golem, right, the thing that's all over the DLC, he will destroy you. You'll have minus health, right? Just don't go near him. But what it's done is it's encouraged me to explore the world.
Gone the whole way around it.
I've gone all the way around it, and I'm chasing down the Erdtree fragments because I know it's like, that's how I'm going to prefer to tackle this, which is I need to get myself in a position where I feel a bit more confident taking on the bosses. So, and I'm not even that far. I think there's 50 fragments in the game. I've probably found about 16, 17 of them. And it's been great fun because I'm still exploring it, and I've in the process found little catacombs, little dungeons. Some places I'm like, no chance, I'll see you soon. But I can put a marker on the map for it, and I enjoy that. It's kind of speaking to the open world fanatic within me first, but I think without that, you would have just went straight to, there's a big dungeon, rinse that, put it down, and maybe not explored all the rest of it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's encouraging me to think about all the other weapons and stuff like that in the game as well. I'm kind of treating this as like a blank slate.
Yeah.
So, do what you want, man.
So have you tried any of the new weapons that's available within it yet?
The backhand blade is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Is great. You've got those knights that swing those massive hammers and stuff as well. It's like they carry a door with a hammer.
Yeah.
I'm using that every so often as well. And there was one other weapon that I literally just picked up. I think it was like a katana. I picked that up last night before I went to bed, but I'm keen to get back and have a look and see what that can do. But there's also things like the perfumer bottles and well, like I'm kind of I've picked them up too. So I'm like, I want to kind of see what they can do, because everyone else would be like, no, like I'm not going to use them. But I think it's quite fun. It's whatever you want to do. So it's going to make me think twice about the way that I approach it, and what the glutton might need to change with that as well, because
that's exciting.
The heavy load is heavy. It's very heavy. So
get the endurance stats up.
Man, I think I have to.
Yeah, but that's what I love about it. You can't rest in your laurels going into this. It's like, it is a new game.
Yeah,
it's a completely new game, and it's one that we will be talking about for some time on this podcast by the sounds of it.
Unless we both just get really good and beat it like tomorrow.
Yeah, just get really hench. Skype work.
Just
Can I
like-
come in today? Yeah.
I'm actually just going to play Elden Ring all day.
Yeah, you should. You should. Because we want to hear more about the secrets. This,
Yeah.
you know, winter was Final Fantasy VII. Now we're in the summer. It's all about Elden Ring. But we touched on it, and that should probably take us into our main topic this week when it comes to Elden Ring. So, of course, the gaming community's online patter, the discourse, that dreaded word, game difficulty is smack back at the top of the discourse, right? And I thought it'd be good to kind of dig into this. You know, where do we stand on the whole game difficulty debate? Because I think there'll be a lot of parents and gamers out there listening that through many factors, how they enjoy the game, time, whatever, difficulty is something that you can tailor.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you want it to be extremely batter your head off a wall hard, or if you're wanting it to be something pretty casual or to caress you softly, as you put it, I think. Where do you stand in the whole thing?
I don't know. To be honest with you, you know me. Like, I love playing difficult games.
Of course.
I love the challenge of it, and there's a wee bit of sort of like a tolerance for punishment that I've gained over the course of the years that I've been playing games. That, I mean, you have to be that way. If you play fighting games, you have to enjoy taking a doing every once in a while.
Yeah.
But I think for me, you know, it's as I've got older, I enjoy, you know, more difficult things, but also like more challenging runs as well.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it when I was taking notes and stuff for the episode, because, you know, I love making notes.
Have to.
And I was just thinking about the games that I've played in the past that, you know, maybe not conventionally difficult, but there are points where you can make them really hard for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking, what kind of games would that be? And the first one that sprung in mind was Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason why you could play Metal Gear Solid now and just go and jump on and play Metal Gear Solid 2, play it on normal and make your way through that.
Mm-hmm.
But then you might go, I'm going to do an extreme run. I'm going to do a big boss run, try and get big boss rank. So it's like you kind of two hands behind your back trying to play that game, and it's for no one. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Nobody's looking at my trophies. Nobody cares about them. I look at them and I go, that's nice. That's really cool. And it's a story to tell people, but it's a really tough one. I don't vibe with the whole shame people for the way that they want to play games. I don't jive with that at all. I think it's just like daft. Like, it's just such a stupid thing to do. But for me personally, I mean, I'll play difficult games, but there's also games that I've played that are difficult that I'm like, I really need to kind of put the difficulty down on that. Like Baldur's Gate 3 was one of them.
Oh, that was a nightmare.
It was brutal.
Yeah, I had to put the difficulty down on that as well.
Even Persona has kind of forced itself upon me. One of the fights is like timed, and I just couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, maybe suggest jumping down a level. And I was like, like, if that's what you suggest, like I can't be bothered slogging through this. And I think that's sometimes a decision that it makes for me, is that if I can be bothered getting better at it and sort of improving the way that I play it, then, and if that's something that you actually are encouraged to do, great. I mean, like with Metal Gear Solid, you might learn a route or something like that you can take that gets you around an enemy, which is fine. But with like Persona, is that you're kind of having to deal with the hand that you've got.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, for me, I kind of sway in the middle, but more towards the sort of difficult side of it.
Yeah, that's why it's a good question, because I think we represent two sides of the coin here. Two sides of the same coin, because I totally concur with you. But whereas you're the masochist, right?
Yeah.
You like things hard. So,
oh my!
I know. Been sitting on that for ages. But you do, like, you seek out that, and you're better at it. Like, you've got the skill level to do it, and I should add this point, the patience.
Yes,
which is something I have in very short supply, as you know. I'm not a patient man.
My favourite thing about you getting angry is when you shout "play the game."
Aye.
Like, even just like playing Call of Duty, when you would die, you used to go "play the game."
Aye.
It's just so funny, man. It's so funny.
And that's the thing. Like, put me in a multiplayer setting.
Yeah,
that's probably where my strengths will come out.
You're significantly better than me in those areas. And significantly.
I don't know how. It's something that was never the case beforehand. And my cousin, who we both know, hopefully he's listening, he will attest to that because he was always pro gamer.
Yeah.
Like he was like, Rainbow Six Vegas and Vegas 2, frightening. And any type of game, put it in front of it, and you're pretty much the same. It's like you put a game in front of you, you could go into hard mode straight away. It's like, cool, if I had a bash at it, or beat it, or I'll put it up to extreme.
Yeah.
Whereas me, I've always been Storm and Norman, just right in the middle. That's cool. And I think that kind of goes back to, particularly when I was reviewing games. So I was getting review copies in.
Yeah.
And I was always under the clock. It's like, right, we've not got a lot of time here to do this, but I want to get a good experience. So I'd always make a point of just playing it on that standard setting. And then you would just, if you got time, go back and look at it in harder difficulties and just try and see where it's creaking effectively. And that was always my approach. I think the first time I remember feeling shamed, I suppose, to take that approach was outside the review setting. And it was the Halo games. I always remember Halo always stands out to me because it was like, right, okay, it was just default, normal. I would just play it because I'm really interested in narrative and stuff like that as well. And it depends on the game. But then it's always like heroic, how it's meant to be played. And I'd be like, should I be doing that on this? And that's where I think my love for co-op gaming really started because I would then tackle it on Legendary. I'd go one better. But you'd be playing it with someone else, and it was that collective group together challenge is so enjoyable for me, and just being part of a team to take down a big objective. I think that's why in the early days of Destiny and Destiny 2, when we were playing it, I loved like doing the strikes and all that.
Yeah, they were class.
And it was great just to kind of like, here we go, it's a new challenge, something to focus on. And that kind of bled into like Gears of War, as we mentioned beforehand. So I had finished that in co-op with my cousin on Insane, and that was like a ritual every time one came out. And it's one that we're doing just now. Thoroughly recommend because it's a pretty fair hard mode, I would say.
It's not that bad.
And then as time goes on, I'm start to dip a toe into Souls games, and that's definitely where I've leaned on you just for how do I do this, how do I do that. It says the Tenzing of Elden Ring, but it goes way further back than that. Like all the way back to like I think Dark Souls 2 was where I jumped on. So I skipped Dark Souls, just went right over my head at the time because I thought it looked mince, to be honest with you, and I was very wrong. And then just dipping the toe into the difficulty and then slowly. So I feel like with the FromSoft games, I've been on this slow arc and getting there. And when it gets to Elden Ring, it's like, I don't mind using summons, I'll use anything just to complete the objective. But there has been times I've definitely put things down to easy the older that I'm getting.
Yeah.
And that's purely born out of time. So usually it comes in the form if I'm hunting a platinum trophy. So if it's just like open world things, which is the ones I'll tend to go on platinum, so you've got like Spider-Man, we came up with that. Or even like, I think Assassin's Creed Origins. So you had to do every single thing on that map to get the platinum, right? And my daughter was just born, so I'm like, I am just putting this down to easy. This is my time. It's my wee 45 minutes. I'm just going to go and do this part of Egypt and off I go. And that habit stuck with me since. And I remember doing the same on the platinum run. I finished God of War 2018 on normal, and I just put it down easy for the platinum stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, why not?
I think it's a good point though, because it's like going down to easy for platinums is great until you have a trophy that demands that you do it on like the hardest difficulty. Do you know what I mean? Like,
and you know what I do? I'll avoid them.
That is because Metal Gear Solid for the Master Collection, the first Metal Gear Solid game, wants you to complete that in extreme.
God.
But the way you get around it is you play it in Japanese, and it's on hard difficulties, so you don't. It's easier, which sounds daft, but it's an easier platinum.
See,
so
there we go, listeners.
There you go.
Tips.
There's a wee trick for you. But no, that's one that really irks me because it's like I would love to go and platinum like Resident Evil 4, for example, but that game wants you to complete it 100 different ways in S ranks with about 400 different characters.
Yeah,
and it's like on every single difficulty that you can play it on, and it's like, no, It's just it's too much. But that's what Capcom have done forever.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it makes me think about the days of fighting games.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was thinking about it earlier, I was thinking about like obviously single player games. And then I was thinking about story modes and fighting games like arcade ladders.
Yep.
And like Tekken 5 when you have to fight Jinpachi at the end.
Oh God, he was a
And
nightmare.
it's like the only way you could get through him is put it down to one round and then fight him on like very easy. But even then, it was still brutal. Like,
yeah, he was notorious.
So it's just at a point you do just accept that that's the reality of things. Is it's too difficult and that's it.
It's a shame because you're going to get gamers from all walks of life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're speaking to a lot out there that are probably older, mature, as I say, on their category. And I think it's your time becomes a commodity. So if you are very happy to focus on that challenge, hardest difficulty for months and months, however long it takes you, go do it. Like, and if you get that, yes, I'm going to be impressed. But wow, like that's not easy to do. Fair play.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when you look at Platinum Hunters, right, we'll use them as the example, you start to identify the trends, like you said. And now I know, so I'm like a very casual Platinum Hunter. If it's a Sony exclusive, they never do a hard difficulty trophy on it. So you go back, check God of War, Ragnarok, Ratchet and Clank, you name it. All you have to do is everything in the game, bar the difficulty one. And I'm like that. I really, really wish that was the case across the board, and then use leaderboards for the big challenge. Now, one of the best platinum trophies out there, well, two examples, named one, God of War, right? Both that and Ragnarok are fantastic because all you have to do
is just do everything.
Is beat it. And if you want the challenge, so you get the Valkyries, put it up to hard, put it to easy, whatever, make it as hard or easy as you want, but it's open to all. The Spider-Man games is another one.
Yeah.
They're just tremendous because you don't have to spend a lot of time. You can get the platinum and off you go and feel that sense of achievement. Everybody's happy. And that's that. Now, there are some midden platinums out there, which I would not recommend at all. And I tend to avoid them. But I think we spoke about it. It's about respecting your time, and you do whatever you want to within that.
Yeah.
I think, the whole difficulty debate, when it comes to easy, I'm always saying, I said it before, make your own fun.
Yeah.
Just, if that's what you want to do and chill out, excellent. I mean, I think, Tekken 8 this year is another good example. Like, for the platinum and that, you just had to try every mode.
Yeah.
And you did have to win a game online or something, which is probably the hardest thing in it. But it was just, it catered to everybody. I was like, nobody here loses, there's nothing more disappointing. I think difficulty trophies and multiplayer trophies in particular are just stinking. Just
I know, it's horrible. There's been an ever increasing sort of like trend of games that understand that though as well.
Yeah.
Like if you've died too many times, it'll maybe suggest dropping the difficulty and stuff as well. Or one of the examples that I was thinking of was Metal Gear Solid 5. Bringing up Metal Gear Solid a lot in this bombing podcast, but Metal Gear Solid 5 gives you the wee chicken hat.
That's right, yeah.
That makes things easier for you in the whole game. Like enemies don't see you as like from as close as they normally would, or they don't hear your footsteps as easy. So it's like you can still play the game the way that the game is meant to be played.
Yeah.
But if you maybe find it a wee bit too difficult, or you're just wanting to go in and like fanny about with the character and stuff as well, like do that.
Yeah.
Put the hat on. Looks cool as well. So
it definitely does. I mean, we do wade into the whole difficulty thing. Like, so if we come back to like From Software, right, and talk about trends, and these harder games are out there more than ever, which is good because you'll probably get, some old farts out there. I'm not including myself in it. But it's like, and they're rightfully pointing out, games did used to be hard as nails just because it was a way of kind of massaging the content out for longer.
Yeah.
Now you've got these big, massive games, and that's where things have kind of got easier, tutorials, you name it. And there is a market there, people that want that harder experience. But when it comes to like Souls in particular, and this is going to happen, so right now they're starting to moan about the difficulty in Shadow of the Erdtree. Give it a few days, probably by the time this podcast goes live, and the whole like, should there be an easy mode thing will come back up again. You can set your watch to it. And this is probably where I'm a little bit like, do you know what? I would love it if they did have it in there, but I do respect that's their artistic vision for how they want to play it. And this is one that I don't know what side I come on of this debate, to be honest with you. I remember it with Bloodborne, I remember it with Dark Souls 3, you name it. And this debate just keeps rearing its head. And on the one side, yep, respect the makers, respect the art. On the other side, I'm like, how good would it be if there just was a way to have more people access the deep lore and the art within this game? Imagine if you had so much more like Souls archaeologists, lore archaeologists out there that's basically mining all this data. Probably Vati Video would be sweating, to be honest with you, because that'd be him at a job. But it's it'd be great, because the great thing once you get hooked into this world is that you utterly fall in love with it, and you can sit and watch lore videos to fall asleep to whatever, but it's just gated, and it's the thing. The only thing about it that makes me sad.
That is the difficult part with it, though, is that you're one difficult boss fight away from maybe never finishing something.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? But that could be the same for an Assassin's Creed game. That could be the same for any other game series. Do you know what I mean? Like you're one difficult platforming section away from finishing a Mario game. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe not going to happen ever, but it could be for anything. But I totally get what you're saying. Is that there's a place for enjoying a Souls game just for the game. You know what I mean? Like not for the difficulty. They obviously curate this world and give you this vast knowledge of the people that live in the world and the universe entirely. And we together, not us, think people in general are, we're reliant on creators like Vati Vidya. I'm sure there's others out there that are in my head, but I can't remember. But we're reliant on folks like that they are people who they're good at the game, but they also take every single part of it in.
Yeah.
But it would be nice if you didn't have to worry about fighting boss B before you've even fought boss A. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like, we fought that dancing lion, right? And you obviously come out of there and you look up those stairs, and it's like, what is up there?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, what
you know it's bad.
Yeah. So it's like, what's going to be the next barrier to that now?
Yeah.
That's a bad thing for people who maybe find it difficult to get through, but for someone who enjoys the challenge, it's like, that's what we're here for. I mean, you're not buying Elden Ring and expecting to walk through it. Do you know what I mean? Like you're buying that game and you know what it comes with. But I totally appreciate the point that it would be nice to have that option.
Yeah, and it's a shame because when we look at things in the grand scheme of things, I'm always for like making games as accessible to everybody as possible, and difficulty is a really big part of that. I just kind of feel like the community, a very small minority of that community, they get toxic when we dare, entrench on that, and it's like nobody's messing with it, because I think Miyazaki came out last week and says if we were to reduce the difficulty, we break the whole game. So we know that's not happening, and I'm not asking it for it. It would be a nice to have, but it does make me kind of circle back to probably one of the last points on this is around that difficulty. We've talked about the shaming. It's just that toxicity around it, and like you said, I think if you're somebody that's, knackered for time, just wants to dip into a game, chucking it in easy mode or whatever, you're not giving two fucks about what some clown on Twitter's going to be saying about it. But I just wonder, like, where that stems from. I
think with the Soul series in general is that a lot of the content that's out there from that is challenges. Like challenge runs, like people who complete every single Souls game without taking any hits or using different weapons and stuff like that. But the mantra and the meme for Dark Souls and all that was always just get good.
Yep.
So it's like, that's just basically what people are trying to say, is that you don't need to use this or that. It's just get good at the game and that's it. But as I say, that's not always the same for everyone.
No, it's not. I think ultimately, like, we're both in agreement. Like, I would totally recommend just playing your way. And if you are just finding that you're battering your head off the wall, playing it in easy is great fun.
Yeah.
Because it becomes a power fantasy.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I think one of the first times I had done it was a way back when Skyrim came out.
Mhm.
I can remember the moment. There was this fucking troll on a mountain, and it kept on spanking me, and I was like, sack this, I'm just turning the difficulty down, just because I was finding the combat a bit awkward. It just felt like you're swinging a log in slow motion. And that was where the inspiration came, like with mentioning Assassin's Creed Origins. And I think it's a really good way to kind of have your cake and eat it.
Mhm.
And it depends, like, if you're someone that's quite happy to be stuck on that challenge, it's totally down to you. Like,
Yeah.
it's whatever makes you happy at the end of the day.
But at the end of the day, right?
Mm.
If we put it this way, you finish a game on easy mode or you finish a game on hard mode,
Mhm.
you still have the same experience at the end of the day.
Very true.
Like, what you call him? Osborne Wayne, second. What's the guy's? Harry Osborne still dies at the end of Spider-Man 2.
I thought you were. I don't know why you said that, and I thought of Ozzy, and I thought you meant
Ozzy
no, it's
Osbourne.
Jack Osborne.
Harry Osborne still dies at the end of Spider-Man 2. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Spoilers.
it's been out for about 10 years. I play that on easy or I play it on hard. It's still the same thing.
Yeah, and that's it. Yeah, like, even if you look at like God of War as an example, in fact, The Last of Us,
Yeah.
another one.
Still the same ending. So
Still the same ending. Yeah, and you're still, if you're kind of accustomed to it,
Yep.
it's not in the sense that the enemies just roll over. It's like, it's all right, mate. Just you go and by. You still have to engage in some type of challenge to get through them.
Mhm.
There are some games that do easy difficulty terribly, I have to say. None of them are coming to mind, but you do still get moments where you're like, Jesus Christ, is this one easy? It's just whatever works for you. But it's a really good way, I think, to kind of, get into a game, not feel left out. And especially in moments like this where difficulty is raising its head
Mhm.
with Shadow of the Erdtree, the people that were complaining about it on Steam, I was kind
It's
of like,
just ridiculous.
what did you expect?
That's all just it's a trend that's coming up more and more, because obviously with Helldivers, people weren't happy that they had to log in using their PlayStation ID on Steam. So it was like let's just review bomb it, and then they get their own way. So it seems to be the done thing at the moment, and I don't think Elden Ring will. I don't think FromSoft will relent on this. I don't think they have to. I think there's enough people out there that feel the same way as us, that you play it your own way. Like, every single content creator that I follow online is the exact same way. They're playing it, and they're playing it the way that they want to play it.
100%.
It's nuts. And there's people who are playing it in strange ways. I've seen people play Dark Souls games with like Guitar Hero guitars. And there's a girl online at the moment who's playing it just using her mind. Like,
Right.
she thinks in certain ways, or like she has to kind of scrunch her head up or something like that, and she can control the character on the screen. I'll send it to you later, but it's like,
That is mental.
it's incredible. Like, she's fighting this dancing lion, and it's like,
So it's
it's just not even
Charles
holding a
Xavier.
controller. It's just, that's exactly what she's wearing, Cerebro, and it is. That's exactly what she's
Cerebro
doing.
run.
Aye, it's
God.
great. It's amazing.
Hats off to them for finding new ways. It's entertaining as hell, But yeah, I mean, I think what's your thoughts on it, the listeners out there? Is it something that you would, do you dial it down easy, or are you like Scott and you want things as hard as possible? So it's totally up to you. But we'd love to hear from you. But I think it's time for us to get on to a new adventure.
Oh,
So it's, of course, time for the Pixel Picks Showdown. So, of course, each week we're each picking a game from our chosen theme, and we decide which one deserves to live on the hallowed Pixel Picks list, which is our definitive list of the best games we recommend to pass on to the next generation of gamers. So last week's theme was NES games, NES, whichever way you're inclined. And the winner was Super Mario Brothers 3, becoming the latest addition to that list. And of course, Scott was not a gentleman, and he claimed the win for himself. But
the coin decided.
the coin, yes, we've seen the coin. It's got two of the same sides on it. It's a trick coin. Shenanigans. But in this week's showdown, of course, we're going to be debating what best adventure game we think should feature on the Pixel Picks list. And of course, last week's winner goes last. So you've humped yourself there, Scott. But I should also add, when we say adventure game, so we had to have a little bit of a back and forth. So, of course, we want to make sure that this Pixel Picks list can go on as long as possible for the sake of content, right? We're going to start to see some really questionable genres, but with adventure, we're just going to focus on the kind of narrative, story-driven adventures, so your point and clicks, etc. That's this week. Doesn't have to be a point and click, but we're mainly looking at something that's more narrative adventure instead of action adventure.
I'm glad that you raised that point, because thinking about this topic, I have played 3 adventure games. So the one that I've picked is the best of the 3.
Okay. Well, I look forward to your pick, but I've got only 2 this week, and I'm not sure which one I want to pick because it's another one where I'm going between my head and my heart.
Okay.
Right. I'm just going to go with recency bias on this, right? So my honourable mention this week, and if someone I know is listening to this show, he's probably going to throw his shoe at me for not making it my pick. But my honourable mention has to be The Secret of Monkey Island. Okay. Just Guybrush, all we have to say is that, really. I mean, that adventure in itself, the humour, from the offset, it's one of the first games I remember being funny, I think LucasArts absolutely just nailed it with the writing. The memorable characters, the fact that it's just so influential when it comes to narrative-driven point-and-click games. Don't get me wrong, if you're going back and playing the original now, it looks dated as all hell. I think they did a special edition recently where they updated things. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I can remember playing it as a kid and just being so enthralled by it, and then as an adult, further appreciating the humour in it, because that stuff goes right over your head.
Aye.
I mean, this came out in 1990, so it was it predates you for a start. Almost predates me. But I can just remember just being so enthralled by it and making your way through that story, all the quests, all the humour, the characters, just like Meat Hook and stuff like that. It was just pure candy for your imagination, and it kind of sparked the interest of games being able to tell a story that was funny, I can recall like one of the early discussions with LeChuck, and you're basically, it's like, it's great being dead, just kind of deadpan, almost British style humour all the way throughout it. And it's just charming. It's the grandfather of narrative games, as far as I'm concerned, and I think it's just going to have you laughing from start to end. But I did think I was going to end up picking this game, but I haven't. So it's my honourable mention.
Okay.
I'm already regretting it. But my pick this week is a game that I have played recently in the past few years.
Okay.
And it's one from a series that I at first didn't really vibe with.
Okay.
And after playing this game, genuinely adored it. So I'm going to pick Life is Strange True Colours. Okay.
I thought you would.
I had to. It's got this game, man. Honestly, it's
go off. So I've never played it, so
I can't recommend it enough. And the good thing is about this podcast is that we almost challenge each other to just like, go take a dive.
I'll have a look at it.
Case in point, Final Fantasy VII truther over here now. Okay, so and my mind was changed, but come back to this, I absolutely adore it. I mean, the characters, this sleepy Colorado town setting, it's that, me, if you take any type of mountain town, it's a autumnal, it's kind of good indie type characters, I'm there like all day. Getting to play as Alex Chen and trying to solve the mystery, which I won't spoil, just keeps you breadcrumbed throughout. And the way it's kind of structured, that episodic way, is fantastic, and it's so enjoyable. Like you start to kind of really develop a kind of care for all the characters that's around you. you're really invested in the world. And of course, with Alex, they did such a fantastic job with the writing on it. I found that her psychic empathy powers to be much more fun than Max's in the original, which is that kind of rewind power.
Right,
So
okay.
it's all about kind of rewinding time and stuff. And it didn't quite click with me. I think probably because I felt too old for Life is Strange almost. Like
Yeah.
if that came out when I was in my teens, I really would have vibed with it. And they're going for that kind of whole graphic novel style approach to storytelling. But I enjoyed the empathy powers. I think it's a much better way to kind of pick your choices and kind of probe the characters for information, because that's effectively what you're doing. You're kind of going through and investigating to piece together what's happened to solve the mystery. And it's tragic what happens. So that in itself spurs you on. And the town's not massive, you know.
Yeah.
It's,
Manageable.
very manageable, very manageable. But it's beautiful. And something I just loved being in this world. In terms of an adventure, I just remember the feeling of like Alex getting off the bus and she's arrived in this town, and the feeling at the end of it, like, this is my home now, you know. And I must have went through that in a week, 2 weeks or something like that. And it stayed with me. I was gutted at the end of it. I was actually thinking,
that's how you know it's good, though.
yeah,
I mean, there's nothing better than playing a game like that and you like fall in love with the characters and stuff.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm finding it right now with Persona, but it's like you develop these wee feelings for the characters, and you see the wee bits of their personality and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
making decisions based on things like that is really cool.
100%. And in an adventure game, I thought, what is it I'm really looking for? I want to be able to kind of experience a story that I enjoy. I want to go on a journey with characters, and I want to connect with the characters. Now,
Yeah,
that's probably why we haven't picked action adventure,
yeah,
because you've just described that experience I had with the Final Fantasy VII characters,
yeah.
and it's like you really did connect with them. You're spending a lot of time. With Life is Strange True Colors, there's decisions in that you can make which does impact the world around you, of course. But by the time you get to the end of it, it's the same kind of sensation you get like when you've watched a really good kind of like American indie movie. You know, I'm trying to think, like A Little Miss Sunshine or something like that, or The Way,
Yeah.
Way Back, that type of thing. And it's just such a vibe. Like, honestly, if I could live in a video game world, I would go
It'd
to
be
Haven
that.
Springs, honestly.
Oh, that's a good topic to bring up, though.
Yeah, there you go. That's one for the future. But that's my pick.
Okay.
So I'm intrigued to see what you've picked this week, because this isn't a genre where we're
Oh no,
many
no.
choices.
I'm not well versed. I'm not well versed in this, but let's jump in the time machine and go back to 2012.
Okay.
Let me take you
It's
back.
your kids. Something's got to be done about your kids.
Let me take you back to the height of a certain TV series
All right, I know what he's picked. Okay, there we go.
and the spin-off video game of The Walking Dead.
Yep.
I had completely forgotten that I'd played this
Yeah.
until we started talking about this, and it wasn't until about 3 hours ago, but I was sitting on the couch with a little one eating her dinner, and I was like, I need to think about a game for this. I really need to think about it, because I was thinking about, what games have I played? I've played, Grim Fandango.
Yep.
I've played Day of the Tentacle, and I've played The Walking Dead. And The Walking Dead came to me, and I was like, that game left me I've never played something episodic until that point.
Yep.
And it was, you'd finish an episode and you'd be like, I need the next one. Like,
Yeah.
I need to do that now. I think if I played it now, it'd hit a wee bit differently. Obviously, from the parental standpoint,
Yeah.
you're obviously playing as Lee, looking after Clementine, and it's like, I just remember playing that, thinking I need to protect this child at all costs.
Yeah.
I'm not a massive Walking Dead fan either. It's not a TV show that I've particularly watched or enjoyed, but it's a game that you start to kind of feel for those characters, and it's like, as you're saying, those are the best kind of games where you kind of take on that role and you start to kind of believe that the decisions that you make are impactful.
Yeah.
And the Telltale series, or the Telltale games in general, they kind of became the benchmark for that. At that point, you'd make a decision in episode 1 and you'd see the repercussions of it coming in episode 3
Yeah.
or something like that.
And
And you'd always have that wee bit, they will remember that. And it was the game where I was like, oh,
Or at the end of the episode, and it shows you what other players picked as well.
It was class, like the percentage of people. So it always kind of, I would never do it at the time, but it was like you could go back and play through it again and see if you made the decisions differently, then how would that look. But we've also we've gone through a period at that point in time where zombie apocalypse games were the rage. You know what I mean? That was the height of it, but it kind of approached it in a different way.
Yep.
You've obviously got like your Dead Rising games that are a bit daft and stuff, and you've got the Call of Duty series where you're just mowing them down. But this kind of came at it from the kind of human angle, and surviving, and some of the decisions you make kill some of the other characters and stuff. It was brilliant. It was excellent. But I think it's I was trying to think of other TV shows that have had their own games, and I couldn't really come up with many, but this is the most successful, I'd say, and none of the rest of them could ever hit as hard. And that goes for things like, you know, the other Walking Dead games.
Oh yeah.
The only other one that I could think of was The Wolf Among Us, when I never finished it. Do you know what I mean? So I couldn't think about it. But from start to finish, just thinking about The Walking Dead and experiencing that, like I played that on the bus going to my work, like it was great. And you know, I had an absolute blast with it, and it's something that I'd like to actually revisit. I think they put it out on the PlayStation 4 or something like that, I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, it's been done to death.
It's something that it's something that I would consider again. But that was the only one I could pick.
It was one that I considered. The reason I didn't, right, it will shock you, because I do agree. Like I remember playing it at the time because it was one of the biggest successes of that year, and it was a real return to form for Telltale, because I had been stung beforehand because I bought Jurassic Park, the game, obviously, in the Telltale style. For some strange reason, it just didn't land, even though I still enjoyed it from a blinkered fan perspective, back on East London Plan and stuff, right after the events of the film. Jurassic Park Survival, here we go. But with Walking Dead, it was that. I was like, right, okay, the show was hot, let's put this out. I had enjoyed the first series of the show. The rest of it just dragged on a wee bit. But this felt fresh, and I thoroughly enjoyed that story that they told. To the point where I remember playing season 2. At that point, it was just like...
It was done.
It's done. And that's the thing. Like I wouldn't go back to it, because the shocks and the twists and the tales, it's a bit like trying to go back to play Journey, if you know what I mean. Which I think it came out the same year. But the reason I didn't pick it was because I thought that the best game that Telltale have done was actually Tales from the Borderlands. And the thing is, internet can come at me if they want, right? I'll tell you I'm right. They did the same thing, but it's unfair to make the comparison, because I nearly picked Tales from the Borderlands. That's the thing. I'm not comparing the two, because you're comparing one where they have hit the real breakout point. You know, they've got past the Wallace and Gromit and the Jurassic Park days. Walking Dead, big hit. So without that, you wouldn't get Tales from the Borderlands. But it's a good pick. It is a good pick. I think for me, it's just like, what one would I go back to?
Yeah.
You know my answer.
I would say the same thing. The same. I think it's difficult because I've not played Life is Strange, that I can't say no to it. But it's obviously successful in what it does, because you, middle-aged man, loves it. I mean, middle-aged, but you know what I mean. Like you,
dare you, sir?
elder member of the podcast is like
just
biggest fan. So it's
I think for me, it's one of those ones. I think as someone that's played both of them, Life is Strange just felt like a more well-rounded experience than what Walking Dead did. And I'm not saying that just out of bias. It's like, out the two, if you put them in front of me, I would recommend Life is Strange over Walking Dead. But it's difficult, because we're in this, obviously, it's a case of how strongly do you feel about Walking Dead taking this?
Not very much. I think that I'd make a case for it if I felt stronger for it. But
well, if I put the two of them in front of you just now,
I'd play The Walking Dead.
Would you?
because I've never played Life is Strange. I don't look at Life is Strange and think I really want to play that. Do you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't walk through Game, God rest its soul. But I wouldn't walk through Game, see it, and be like, yeah, do you know what? I'd fancy this. Like it's just, and that's maybe just because it's not for me. You know what I mean? Like games can not be for you, and that's fine. But you're obviously. I understand that you enjoy it, and you wouldn't put your hat on something that you enjoy.
No, and I wasn't.
That I don't believe in. Do you know what I mean? Like
I wasn't the Life is Strange guy before it, but I certainly am after it.
Yeah,
you know, like it's totally like ignited a love for a game. It's a special game,
yeah,
it really is. But so is The Walking Dead. I think what I'll do here is I think we're going to pick Walking Dead for this week. I'll tell you why. Just because of the impact that Walking Dead had on the industry. I think it's deserving a place on that list, to be honest with you. I think both are.
I think they both. I think
both
Life
are.
is Strange
I'm
probably will.
going to add a caveat to it.
Okay.
Right. So of course adding this to the list under the condition that you give this game a try.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
I make a promise.
I want you to finish one episode
of Life is Strange.
True Colours.
True Colours. Right. Do I need to play?
Chapter.
Do I need to play any of the other games to know what I'm doing?
You don't. It's standalone. There is technically a character that's coming in, but it's minor.
It's not. Right, and where can I play this?
It's on Xbox Game Pass, and I think it actually might be on PlayStation Plus.
Right, yeah. Okay, I'll put a wee note. Life is Strange.
Don't have to do it. Maybe see after you finish Elden Ring, you want something chill.
I'll maybe
give it a bash.
I'll let it caress me gently.
Let it caress me gently. Yeah, that's going to become a catchphrase. I know. Well, no, I'm happy with that. I think Walking Dead Season 1 definitely earns its place as the kind of best adventure game. I think from an accessibility point of view as well, people are more likely going to get on board with that and play it than what they will with the excellent even Secret of Monkey Island as well, which deserves its place. Without that, you wouldn't get these games.
Exactly.
But this is our list, so we're putting it on it. So congratulations to The Walking Dead Season 1.
I'm calling that 2.5 in a row because I stole it last week.
Honestly, that's just because I'm such a gentleman. The listeners know what's happening. But before we wrap things up, we've got a piece of reader mail in this week from a good friend of the show, Mr. Kieran Clark, or Clarky as he's known. He actually has a YouTube channel, Adventures with Clarky, so definitely go check that out if you're interested in kind of discovering what to do out and around Glasgow and Scotland. The videos are actually a lot of fun, and Clark is a great guy. He's a good laugh. So, I've got a question to put to you here, Scott.
Choking on this question?
Yeah, I know. Good Lord. You're going to choke when you hear the question, right?
Right, okay.
So, Clarky is very simply asked, who was and is your video game crush?
Oh, Christ almighty.
And you can't pick Lara Croft because that's a cop-out.
It's not Lara Croft. I remember. So this comes with a story.
There we go.
I remember the very first time watching the arcade endings for Tekken 3.
Oh, right, okay.
Right, and everyone's like, "Oh, Nina Williams, blah blah blah," but it's not. It's Anna Williams. Anna Williams from Tekken 3 was always the one for me. It was I used to always like hide, like if you turn the TV off in the arcade and like mum would come in and all that, but she was always the one. I can't even deny it. And then now it's obviously like Tifa and stuff like that. You're always like,
why?
She's just ridiculous. It's just unfair. And
change the channel.
Somebody
walks in.
I'm trying to think.
There's Barrett.
There's Barrett as well, to be honest with you. A nice handsome man, but no.
What about Resident Evil lady? Resident Evil 8.
What Lady Dimitrescu?
There we go.
No, that was just that was like pure meme worthy on it, like just massive lady.
It was fantastic.
It was great though. Like some of the content that came out of that was hilarious. But fighting games were all I played when I grew up, and
yeah,
Anna Williams was always up there. Try to think if there was anything else. Come back to me. You can continue with yours now. I'll make a list. I'll make a definitive list of video game crushes.
Okay, that's fine. Well, obviously mine's just Muck from Pokemon. No.
Jinx.
A Jinx. No, I'm thinking like most recently, I suppose the sweetheart everybody had last year was Shadowheart and Baldur's Gate 3.
Yes.
You know, big romance option.
I was always a Karlak fan.
Karlak, yeah. And that's what you got to give a shout out to Astarion as well.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go to the other side of the RPG world here, and I'm going to have to say maybe Triss Yennefer in The Witcher 3.
Aye.
And of course Geralt, because Geralt is a fine piece of work.
He's a handsome man.
Fine piece of work. Just lots of attractive characters in that game.
I love. This is going to seem like a really strange thing to say on a gaming podcast, but as I've gotten older, I've always, you kind of get used to appreciating a handsome man.
Of course.
Like, it was always be something you'd be like, oh, but I'm like, I can appreciate a handsome face.
You have to. You have to. Beauty is beauty.
Sephiroth. I'm like,
yeah.
Aye, man. Like,
yeah.
Aye.
But there's lots of actually. In fact, outside the so we've picked a lot of female characters there, but if it's like male game character crushes, then I'm going to
Joel from The Last of Us.
Exactly what I was going to say.
No, Tommy Tommy from The Last of Us. He's a sweetheart.
He's a sweetheart actually. You've obviously said Sephiroth as well. Try to think who else actually.
Doom guy.
If you're
He'd be a gentle lover.
Angry type. Well, they said Geralt. Try to think who else now actually. Because I'm always, again, it's good to kind of mention all of these beautiful faces as we remember them as well. One that I remember that always had an annoying face was the male lead character in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. That was a face I couldn't tire from slamming.
Aye,
you know what I mean?
I find it
I'm going
really
to put
difficult.
a shout to Cassandra actually though. Cassandra.
Yes, she was good. And I can't believe I've not said him already.
Right.
But Big Boss, Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid is just incredible. Like, get his face tattooed over my face. Like, active camo. Like, I am suddenly David Hayter.
Aye, exactly.
Or Kiefer Sutherland if you're playing 5.
What about Johnny Silverhand, Cyberpunk? Oh, do you know what? Actually, one Arthur Morgan. Now there.
Yes.
There's a handsome man.
That's a handsome fella.
Yeah. What a face.
I know. Try to think if there's anything else. Just from back in the day.
Ada Wong.
She's good. But
Yeah.
I don't really like. Actually, I don't really like the games that she's in. But aye. Yeah.
I suppose. The easy answer, of course, is Lara Croft. If not, I'm always going back to like PS1.
Aye, that's what I was going to say. It's like
just polygons.
Aye, but when you were that age, though, you were like Vic Reeves and Shooting Stars.
But you're also watching wrestling at that age, so it's like
that is true. Aye.
You know what I mean? Why have burger when you can have steak?
I thought you were going to say like, why have burger when you can have Stacey Keebler?
No, Mark Henry.
Oh yes, Mae Young.
Absolutely no, but thank you Clarky for sending that one in. That was actually a lot of fun to go through that, and you took that in your stride, Scott. I have to say,
it's a topic that I think about more than anything else.
Try to get you all bashful, but you went with it.
I'm shy.
Well, of course, that brings us to the end of this week's podcast. So, of course, thank you again for joining us. And if you like what you hear and enjoy the podcast, leave us a wee 5-star review. It helps us out and it makes a massive difference. And of course, if you like it, tell your friends, share. We'd love that. It'd be fantastic. What's your thoughts on that, Scott?
I was going to derail your entire topic,
Maybe.
But Alan Wake.
All right, okay.
Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake is so handsome.
Oh, but yeah. Okay, coming back to that.
Aye.
Yeah, you can't deny that.
I'm going to interrupt you so many times now, just randomly through episodes, just being like, yeah, they're pretty handsome though.
It's all these good-looking video game characters coming to mind.
Dan.
Brock. But of course, yeah, Scott, where can people find you online if they want to get in touch and send you lovely messages about their favourite handsome and beautiful video game characters?
Find me on the old Twitter at Llamaman91_91.
He remembers people.
Oh, I kind of got it wrong though.
That is at Llamaman91.
Is it?
Yep, got it in one. For myself, you can find me at Carmelite on everywhere. And of course, thank you to our producer and music man, the talented and ever so handsome, speaking of handsome faces,
Mr.
Sean Murray. Thank you for all you do. We love you, Sean. And of course, you can listen to the next episode on all the major podcast platforms, whatever one you choose. And follow us on Twitter at pixel_parents. And of course, write to us at pixelparentspodcast@gmail.com. I will add now, hopefully I'm not jinxing it, but next week we do have a treat in store, something very special that we are looking forward to. But until next time, stay safe, stay sane, and thank you for listening.
1v1 me on Rust, bro.